Hey, Sam, is it that time of the month for you too?
Bev, I don't know that we should talk about that on the podcast.
What time of the month are you talking about? I'm talking about when we get our Henny and Rue boxes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. Yeah. You mean the monthly surprise box for chickens and the people that love them?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. Now that we're on the same page, yes, I love that time of the month. It's great.
It's so exciting to get useful things like for my flock and extra surprises for myself.
Yes, and I love that we get to offer our listeners 10% off their first box when they use the code Drink and Farm at checkout.
And you can also save 10% off the whole store when you become a subscriber, kind of like a VIP. So go sign up, hennyandrue.com. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Bev.
Oh, you probably didn't get to hear that
I
because
heard
it
it.
was.
I
Oh,
heard
you can
it.
hear it. Okay, good.
Yeah, I heard it. It was quiet.
It was a little quiet. Well, I'm still experimenting with this mic thing I got set up over here. I'm not sure I'm a fan. I might be adjusting myself during this.
That sounded kind of dirty. Bev's adjusting
It did.
herself. Ew. So, what did you just open over there?
So I opened a coffee brown ale by
Ooh.
Mount Carmel Brewing Company, which is a brewing company in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Oh.
So it's a nice local beer, and I thought that this coffee brown ale went well with our rainy fall weather that we're having today.
So you've transitioned away from the summer beer, at least for this episode.
At least for this episode. I had a summer beer planned out and I almost grabbed it, but it's like so cold and rainy here. I was like, nah, I might as well just embrace what Mother Nature is giving me. So
Yes.
I went with this coffee brown. And it's funny, like the label actually tells you that this is a great breakfast beer.
Oh.
No, it says notes of sweet maple and explosive coffee create a rousing finish, perfect for the start of your morning. I don't know that I would be opening this in the morning personally, but it would go well with breakfast for dinner, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's like top of the morning to ya.
So, what are you drinking over there?
So I have from New Belgium Brewery. I just hit my mic thing. Whoops. Fat Tire,
Ooh,
which is
that's
a
one of my
Belgian
favorites.
style ale. Yeah, I picked it up for the barbecue I went to yesterday, and I drank four of them when I was there, so I had two left over. So I was like, "This is perfect." I haven't had this on the podcast yet, so it felt like two birds, one stone because we always try to not repeat drinks very often, anyways.
Right. Well, so one thing I've been thinking of adding to the website is a page that has what we've drank on every episode.
Ooh,
I
that'd be
just
a good
haven't gotten
idea.
around to it. So I'll start thinking about jotting that down so that I can get started on that page. Because that would be fun to like, especially when we've been doing this for a year, to see like what a year of Sam and Bev drinking on a podcast looks like.
Yeah. All over the place.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be all over the place. But,
Mhm.
really, I was looking for a pumpkin beer. And I asked my husband, I was like, do we have
Ooh.
any pumpkin beers in the fridge? Because this fallish weather is making me feel like a pumpkin beer. And he's like, is it for the podcast? I was like, yeah, it's for the podcast. He's like, well, we don't have any. But I was like, no, we're not running out to go pick up pumpkin beer for the podcast. I'm like, just next week, maybe we should go find some pumpkin beer.
Yeah. Yeah, I got this yesterday because, like, this one is okay in the summer, but it's not what I would call refreshing when it's like hot as balls outside.
No,
Um,
definitely not.
but yeah, it's like 59 here and it's sprinkling. It's supposed to rain later tonight. So, I mean, I'm not complaining. There were people complaining at the barbecue yesterday that they didn't like this weather, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I can wear long sleeves. The shirt hides my food baby from all the barbecue yumminess that I ate. And like I'm not gonna sweat when I do chores when I get home. Like this is fantastic. Like I'm not complaining one bit. I would like the sun to come out though. That would be nice. But yeah,
I
no,
always welcome the sun.
yeah.
It just puts me in a better mood.
Oh, for sure. And I just feel like this is one of the rare times that I'm like mostly in agreement with Mother Nature in her decision because it's been so humid here lately that like doing anything outside is just like you're just drenched by the time you come in. So I like this little break. It's supposed to, come back up. So by the time this drops, it'll be like 80 degrees again, which is fine. But yeah, listen to us talking about the weather.
And that was Weather Corner.
Yeah.
No, I have just one more thing I have to add. I almost put out our fall decorations today. I even went up in the attic and pulled them out.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the forecast and I saw the 80s next week. I was like, oh, I guess I'll wait a week or two. But September 22nd, all that fall shit is coming down.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to go all over the place.
Same here. I got 6 garden mums this past week.
Ooh, fun.
To put on my porch because like all my summer shit is just dried up and dead. So everything that was like safe for the chickens, I just threw into their run so they could play with it. And then I got the mums, and then in a couple of weeks I'll get some pumpkins to put on the porch too. Like I'm just trying to like ease my way into it, even though I'm like so ready to put all my fall shit up too.
Right. Yeah. And I totally forgot our drinks were sponsored by Ashley Kiernan. So cheers, lady.
Yeah. Woo.
We were supposed to put that with the drinks area, but we're putting it after Weather Corner.
Yeah.
But it's all right. Ashley's super sweet. She'll forgive us. And if anything, this will make her laugh. So
yeah. Yeah. She's supported our drinking habit for a few months now. So thank you.
She has. I think she was one of our very first Patreon supporters.
Yeah.
So.
That's what we call a ride or die, I think.
Oh, is that what it is?
I think
is she one of our ride or dies? Ride or dies?
She's in our tribe. Let's just say that. That sounds less serious.
It does sound less serious.
Maybe she can be like on the council of our tribe. Maybe
there we go.
Yeah.
When our tribe has council members.
Yes.
What will our council members do on our tribe?
They can help us determine topics for things. I don't know why that was so hard to get out of my brain. I was like, where did I want to go with this?
It just flows, and some days it just does not.
Oh, and like I said in the BS, I had 2 mimosas at brunch. Like I am just off my game today.
That's all right. Well, I feel like these changing, like anytime there's like transitions going on, I feel like I'm always a little off for like a few, and then we get back into it. That's the fun of having a podcast run so long. Like I imagine that even though the episodes are going to still have like a similar feel just because they're us, I feel like they're going to be very different depending on the season and like what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, you guys can go listen to all of our BS. Bev's put it up on Patreon. We're pulling in like half hour, 40 minutes on those BS sessions. So if you just want to learn more about me and Bev on a personal level, not necessarily a farm homestead level, go over there and listen to it. You can listen to it for free too. We're not charging for that. So.
Yeah, no, it's public on the Patreon page. So there will be a link to it in the show notes. You can go to the page and you can listen to all of the BS sessions without actually being a Patreon contributor. But while you're there, if you like what you hear and you like this podcast, you can think about joining our Patreon family. And when you do that this month at the $5 level or above, then next month Sam is going to be sending out our little gifties. Mm-hmm. So, and we do that as a thank you to you guys for being Patreon supporters. But try not to join the Patreon just for the gifty and then drop it. We understand that things happen. So you're not always going to be able to be a Patreon supporter, and that's totally fine. No judgment whatsoever. It doesn't make us angry, but it does make us feel bad when somebody just joins it for the gift and then drops the next month. That makes us sad.
Yeah, makes us feel a little used,
There we go.
Just a little.
Is a good word. Just a little.
But you're right. Like we do understand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. No hard feelings. And we totally don't expect that everybody is going to want to support on Patreon. That's not why we do this. We've explained that a bunch, so we won't go into it again.
But yeah, I've had multiple people ask me because last time we sent a gifty, it was a black koozie with a full color logo on it. And I've had multiple people ask me, where can I get one? And it's like, well, that was just for Patreon supporters, and I don't know when, Sam's going to have the bandwidth to make them for the general public. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a perk of being a Patreon supporter. Like, you're going to
you get
get
the
exclusive stuff.
things.
It's not necessarily going to end up in the store. So there's that too.
There we go. And we're getting so close to our Patreon goal too. We're at 90% of it, which is just like totally blowing my mind. We
It's
talk
so
about how
cool.
Patreon blows our minds all the time.
Yeah.
But it really does. And when we hit that $100 level, I realized I don't talk about what the goals are. But our first stretch goal was $100 a month. And when we hit that, I'll get my friends started on making us a little theme song and some transition music so that our podcast can just sound more professional.
Yeah. We'll still start by saying hi to each other, but there just might be a fancy little ditty before that.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Although, I've been thinking of cutting that high thing because we're 10 minutes in and we still haven't told people that this is We Drink and We Learn Things.
But if we had the little ditty, it would tell them and we wouldn't have to remember to tell them.
Oh, good point. It can be like built into the ditty.
Mm-hmm.
Should the ditty have a banjo?
But as long as it doesn't go ba-da-ding, ding, 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 because that just makes me think of like inbreeding.
I don't think our podcast makes people think about that. I don't know.
I would hope
our
not.
Podcast is.
But please don't put that in the. Maybe a fiddle. How about a fiddle?
Oh, I like fiddles. Fiddles
Yeah.
are fun.
I think that's more neutral.
Yeah.
On the hillbilly level.
So this is We Drink and We Farm Things, where we
Yeah.
drink and we talk about farming things.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here.
Yeah, we talk more about farming than drinking, but
We do. We only talk about drinking at the very beginning, and it's what we're drinking.
Yes. So we're past that now. So now we can move on to the farming.
But we're still on housekeeping corner.
Yes. Are we?
So we have some more housekeeping. There we go.
Oh shit. I already scrolled down.
Stop
Sam's
scrolling on
fired.
the notes. Don't forget to take our survey. There's a link to it in the show notes. If you like this show and you want it to keep going, taking the survey is one way to help us keep advertisers happy. It's totally anonymous. It gives you an opportunity to give us some feedback on our show. So if there's something, like you really don't like or that you really like and you want to make sure it keeps going, you get to give us that feedback anonymously. I swear I just opened that beer.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So yeah, go do that because that's where we got the idea to put our BS or just our general non-farming discussions over on the Patreon. Because not everybody enjoyed that and we understand that. And we want to, while we're not going to change who we are as humans, we do want to accommodate and take feedback.
Yes,
and
because
make
we're
things
flexible
better.
human beings.
Yeah. And you guys can also join our Facebook group. If you just type in the search bar, We Drink and We Farm Things, the group should come right up and you'll just have to answer a couple questions just to make sure you're not a robot. You're trying to get into our group, but we've had some awesome conversations this week in there. The group is still under 100 people, but I kind of enjoy that in a way because we're able to have really good small conversations. Everybody is, not being a dick so far, so that helps.
It does. It helps very much.
Yeah, and everybody jumps in and is trying to be helpful. But we've talked about things like coop space. We have some people prepping for the hurricane. That might be hitting the East Coast this week. We just don't know how bad it's going to be. Like, there's so many different conversations going on in there. It's really cool to see. So if you're looking for a fun community where you can ask questions in a place where people aren't going to be assholes, come join our group. Yeah.
I've been really enjoying it in there this week. I can't believe how great the conversations have been going. We had some great post garlic conversations in there.
Oh, yeah.
Which were super fun and yeah, join us.
It was cool to see how many people were equally grossed out by the whole prisoners biting garlic thing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. We were all pretty much on the same board, on the same plane. We're all like, we want to grow our own garlic, or we're going to really pay attention to where we're buying it. And we don't care if it costs more. So that was really cool.
Yeah, that was super cool. So that's all I have for housekeeping.
All right. I can scroll now.
Yeah, you can scroll now.
See, once we hit our Patreon goal, Sam won't have to make little noises as much to transition.
Yeah, there'll be no more woohoos.
Oh, I can't
Well, maybe
guarantee
just
that.
a couple woohoos. Maybe
There'll be less woohoos.
And there will definitely be less of that obnoxious rooster because I will find a different sound to transition into commercials. You're welcome. So, Sam, what treat is it that you give your chickens when you want them to have super crazy, strong eggshells and healthy feathers?
Well, my grubblies bring all the girls to the yard, and sometimes the boys too.
And they're
So
like, it's better than worms?
yes, damn right. It's better than worms.
Because,
We're so funny.
most worms are created in China.
Right.
I'm still having trouble with that main thing. Created in China, grown in China, whatever you want to call it. But grubblies are grown in the USA, and they eat garbage, which keeps
Yes.
garbage out of the landfill.
And
I mean, like food garbage,
Yeah.
not like plastic,
Yeah.
but
Well, that'd be pretty amazing if they could eat plastic too. But they do offset 7 pounds of carbon dioxide for every pound too. So that's why you should just go ahead and subscribe to get them every single month, because not only is it fantastical for your chickens, but also for the environment.
yes. And you can use code WINE20 at checkout at grubblies.com, and you'll get 20% off your first order.
Woohoo!
So we don't have anything in our corrections corner. Apparently, Bev and Sam were really smart last week because we didn't find that we made any mistakes. But if we said something that was incorrect, feel free to shoot us a note and let us know.
Yeah.
You can email us at drinkandfarm@gmail.com, and we'll correct ourselves in the corrections corner.
Next week.
But we do have some follow-up on COD.
Yes.
So last week we watched the COD episode of Rotten, and we talked all about it. And it was a thoughtful and engaging conversation about fish. I almost named the episode that.
Yeah.
I really did.
I like the name that you decided on though, because
There's a
I think it's
Codfather?
eye-catching. Yeah. Because who knew before last week that there was a Codfather?
Right? I didn't know. I had no idea. Although it was funny. I Googled it afterwards, and Modern Farmer and a bunch of other like blogs and publications had written about New Bedford and the Codfather.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't
cool.
know how I missed it. Yeah, and it would have been fun to find those things while we were actually talking about it, because it did give us some like supplemental information that the documentary skipped over. But sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. Hold on.
And now that you say it, you're not going to do it.
I know, that's exactly what happens.
Don't sneeze, Bev.
I mostly just didn't want to like rear my head back and slam my nose into the microphone, because that would have been like kind of embarrassing.
That, and it would have been really loud for me too. So thank you.
Yeah, you would have been like, ow, ears. But after we had that conversation about COD, I realized that we totally forgot to encourage people to go and support their local fishermen if you do live in a place where fresh seafood is available.
Yes.
I forgot about it because I live in Ohio, so like fresh caught fish is something that you can't really find here.
No.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have the Great Lakes up there, so I don't know if you guys have any fish markets.
We're pretty much in the middle of the state.
That's right.
So, yeah. No, not really.
Yeah. So
but we're like a couple hour drive from that resource if we want to go like fish our own. I guess.
So that'd be pretty cool.
You know.
But it was just a good reminder that like if you live somewhere where you can get some fish from a local fisherman, you should go buy your fish from them if you can, even if it's just, once every couple of months if you enjoy fish. Because like as homesteaders and like farm dreamers, nothing makes me happier than supporting other people that are trying to live their dream also. Like, I know we were kind of down on like the fisherman lifestyle and how it was kind of going away because the fish population seems to be, going down and the regulations seem to be sort of like elbowing them out. But there are things we can do to support each other in what we're doing. Because one of the things that's easy to forget about when you're like a homesteader is like we're always saying like self-sufficiency. Well, like we've said teamwork makes the dream work like a lot.
Yeah.
And that's so true with each other too.
No, for sure. Because like there are just things that I don't have the time or patience to do. But being conscious enough of your decisions and where you make your purchases makes all the difference. Even with just fish, like you said, we said last week, like the foreign fish market has, really decimated the US fish market as far as like shelf space goes. So even just checking your labels on the fish, that's one little step that you can take.
Oh yeah, we want to encourage you to support each other in the things
Yeah.
that we're doing. And I
Yeah.
can't believe I missed that. I was kind of beating myself up
Oh.
afterwards. I was like,
But I feel like, it's an assumption. I think in my brain, I just assumed that conversation would inspire people to do that. Like it didn't need to be said.
oh
But
yeah.
maybe it did. I don't know.
Well, I just didn't want it to sound like we were just, against
Like
the
bashing.
fish industry. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Because like one of my favorite things like about this is I love getting to know the other people that I'm getting my food from. When I go to my local Mennonite market, I know the girl that works behind the counter. Like she sees me all the time and we have conversations.
Aw.
And like when Aurora's not with me, like she asks me how she is and stuff. It's fun. It's fun for me to put a face to those products that I'm getting, and it makes me happy like to consume them. And I don't know, it makes me also consume them more consciously too. Like I don't just buy as much of it as I possibly can and then like let some go to waste. Like I try to really think about how much we're going to really use that week, or like do I have the time to freeze the leftovers? If I don't, like I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like I mentioned that barbecue I went to earlier. The amount of meat that was at that barbecue was insane. And the amount of meat that they didn't even get to cook. There were like 4 whole pork butts left and a brisket left. Like people had like mountains of meat on their plate, me included. Like I tried, the pulled pork, the burnt ends, things like that. I was eating too. I'm not a vegetarian, I'm not a vegan, but like realizing like that I didn't know where that came from and that there was so much of it and how much of it's going to go to waste. And I started talking about how, hopefully within the next year we can start raising some of our own meat. And my brother-in-law goes, well, wouldn't it just be smarter for you to just go buy it from somebody else? And it's like, that's not the point. The point is that I want to raise it. I can go somewhere and figure out, where I can buy it. But I don't know exactly like what they're feeding it or how they're treating it or anything like that. Like it's probably fine. But it's like I want to take the social responsibility of growing my own since I have the space to do it. And yeah, it might cost me a little more, but I'm okay with that.
Well, and it gives you that experience also. Like I want to try everything once and see if I like it. And if I don't like it, I won't do it anymore. And I'll hunt down that local farmer to buy that thing from. This totally reminds me of, I did a little research on how homesteaders could raise their own fish if they wanted to. Because, we talked about how you can technically farm fish. And I came across this really funny article in Modern Farmer. And it's this one guy's experience with trying to grow tilapia himself. Because, he thought, he was like, well, I got all this space, so I might as well grow some tilapia. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes so you guys can read it. But like, long story short, he spent more money on the tanks. Like, it turns out you kind of have to have an engineering degree to get all of the stuff like, like wired correctly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Some of the parts, like the book describes you like making them yourself. And then it turns out like after the cost of materials and the time that it took to put it together, you were better off just buying it from like an aquaculturist store.
Oh my gosh.
And, like fish, you got to know something about water. So like, you have to like buy the kits to like make sure that your water is good. Because, when you're eating fish, and this is true of duck also, it kind of tends to taste like the water it came out of. So you want to make sure that your water is clean. Otherwise, it'll have like a scummy taste. And I don't know. This guy's story was super funny. And then he did like what the homesteaders did, or like, what we were planning to do with our chickens. And it turns out just Jared and I ended up doing them. But, you invite a bunch of friends over to help you do it.
Yeah.
And then you know, like cook up some of it that day and share it with everybody, like, you know, in exchange for the labor and whatnot. And he
Mm-hmm.
said that his fish, like, despite his best effort, they still had like a scummy taste to it. He wasn't sure if his guests were just being polite or they didn't notice it as much, but he's like, yeah, I spent all this money, like, you know, farming these fish myself responsibly. Because that's right. The point was you can buy farmed fish, but he wanted fish that had been farmed without the use of antibiotics or, you know, commercial soy products and whatnot. But yeah, I thought that was a super funny story.
No, that is really funny because I was like, how am I going to do that? Like after watching the cod episode, I was like, oh, I just want to do everything myself,
Right.
which is a mentality that can get you in trouble because we're not meant to do everything by ourselves. And like, that's a good point. Like, it's really cool that that guy went through that whole experience and I'm sure he learned so much, but sometimes it is better to leave it to the experts.
Right. There are some things that are just a little harder to do than
Yeah,
it
like
looks like on
growing
the
a
outside.
cow, like feeding a cow is one thing, but trying to like deal with fish and pH level in water, and no,
Well,
that's not for me.
and you know, one of the things he ran into was the fish didn't grow as fast as he thought they were going to. So he had to heat the water too. So suddenly, like, you know, this thing that you think you're doing, like the responsible, sustainable way, is like sucking all this energy because, you know, he doesn't want the
Yeah.
100 fish lives to go to waste.
Right.
So, yeah. This life is, it's totally like it's a checks and balances thing. You got to
Mhm.
kind of feel out like what you have the gumption for.
Exactly. Yeah, but I think it's great that, you go into it with a mentality of just trying to figure it out. Like I was kind of surprised at my brother-in-law's response because he's a like avid hunter. Like he'll go on bear hunts and boar hunts and he hunts deer and he's really good at it. Like he does a very good job. But he just seemed like so like why don't you just buy it from the store attitude about like beef and chicken and things like that. And it's like it and I just kind of stopped talking because it's kind of like politics. Like you're just not going to change somebody's mind in one sitting, and it's not worth like getting fired up about if you can tell that they're just going to shut down anything you say. So it's just like, yep, it's fine. It's fine. Like we're just not going to see eye to eye. You haven't, experienced the journey that I've had even in the past, year and a half of just living out here and learning just a ton. He's not in it day in and day out. He's not going to get it on the same level as I do because, he lives in Metro Detroit, but he goes out and hunts. But he's also offered to come help if we ever decide to do meat chicken or anything. He's like, I'll come out and help you slaughter. That doesn't bother me. I'm like, all right.
It's funny. I feel like hunters always say that. We had some friends volunteer to come help us slaughter the chickens also because they were hunters. But we did just fine on our own. And neither Jared or I mean, I can't recall ever actually going out and hunting anything myself. I don't know if my husband ever has. I want to say no, but that's not necessarily a guaranteed. I have helped clean deer before, so like I had an idea of what I was doing. But yeah, until I went and helped with the ducks on Farm to Table Mama's farm, I had never actually like killed something myself.
Yeah.
And so like you're never
I
really
don't
sure if that's something
think
you
I
can
have.
really do.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I really have either. Like my dad hunts, my brother hunts, my husband hunts. But I'm not sure that I've ever killed anything to eat before. So that'll be interesting when that happens. But it's like I feel like if I'm growing it like meat chickens, I kind of want to do it, and I don't trust my brother-in-law to do it because I don't know that he'll have the same respect level for the animal that I would.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
Or taking it to a professional processor if we don't have the resources to do it ourselves, or if I like quote unquote chicken out.
Yeah.
I feel like I've met them, I've seen them personally. They do a lot for our community, so I feel good about like paying them to do it.
Yeah.
Because they give back a ton to 4-H.
Well, and that's another way that you can support, another local dreamer in your area.
Exactly. Yes. And they do it right. They have, I guess when they do it, like there's somebody from the FDA there and they like watch what they're doing and they're super like ethical about it. So I know it's like a good place to take it and do it if we decide to go that route.
That's good. That's nice that you found that resource there.
Yeah. It's like, it's only a couple miles down the road too. So it's not bad.
Well, and I want to circle back to you talking about your brother-in-law lives in the city, so like he might not fully understand all of this. Like, one of the
Mm-hmm.
things I always forget to tell people also is like I never think that everybody should be like a homesteader and create all of their own
No.
food. Like
Yeah.
I think cities are important to our economy and like our whole way of life as well. We all
Mm-hmm.
can't own acres of land and homestead.
No. Yeah. No, but I think what's important is that people are open-minded to both lifestyles,
Yeah.
whereas sometimes I think it's, the perception is, oh, you're gonna, it's gonna be so expensive for you to do that, or I don't understand how you have all that time to take care of all those animals. Like, people will say that to me, and I want to say back to them, I don't understand how you keep human beings alive that are like, that can't take care of themselves. Animals are like nothing compared to that in my brain. So I think it's just when it's a two-way street and you can have an open conversation, I think that's like a really beautiful thing. Unfortunately, that's not always the case. And it's not always like the quote unquote city people talking down to the farmer. Sometimes it's like the country people talking down to the city folk.
Oh yeah. I mean,
City folk don't understand.
and I'm guilty of that too. Like whenever I get into something, I'm always so excited about it. So I want to share it with everybody.
Yeah,
And
I
I
get that.
have a hard time recognizing when somebody does not share my enthusiasm about it. And then I'm confused and I think I accidentally get a little rude because I don't get it. And then I'm like, oh, like it's just not what they're into. I mean, everybody's into different
Yeah.
things. Not everybody thinks giving chickens baths is fun. And
They don't understand why they would need to give a chicken a
yeah,
bath.
right. Well,
They
they should
think it's
listen to our
weird.
Messy Mildred episode.
They should. Yeah. No, and that's why I've decided like I'm almost like guarded when I go into those situations cuz some people are naturally curious about the homestead farmish lifestyle. So I'm happy to talk to them and answer their questions, but if it ever feels like it's getting tense or they just don't understand or it could, be on the verge of being disrespectful either way, I just shut it down and stop talking, which can also be perceived as being a bitch, but I don't really care.
Well, you can be like, do you know how some people really like to collect chicken tchotchkes? And they'll be like, yeah. You're like, well, I really like to collect the real thing. And then that's all you have to say.
Yeah. The end. Hey, Bev, did you know that there is a natural organic pesticide out there that you can use on your plants and around your animals without them getting sick?
Oh yeah, I totally did. Because you've got to be talking about First Saturday Lime,
Duh.
which is the lime that's unfroggettable.
Oh, snap. You went there. But I'm very happy to announce that there are no frogs harmed in the making of First Saturday Lime because we double checked in
Yeah,
our
we
interview.
totally did.
Because I was a little concerned about the poor froggies. But Ricardo is safe. He's good to go. And he's just the mascot for First Saturday Lime. And the name reminds you to lime every single month because you want to keep out pests and keep your fresh clean. And this time of the year, I don't know about you, but the flies are terrible and disgusting in a chicken coop. And First Saturday Lime does a really good job of keeping that under control.
Oh yeah, and you don't just use lime like around the outside of your house and the outside of your coop to keep the pests down. I also throw my lime on the floor of the coop after I'm done cleaning it and I put the new bedding down because it helps keep the bedding fresher a little longer. And the chickens also love to bathe in it because it keeps like the mites and the lice and the other like external parasites down. So I throw it in their dust bath also. And it's totally safe.
Yeah, it's totally safe for them to even eat. It can actually help strengthen their shells because all it really is precipitated calcium carbonate, as our friend Jessica told us.
Big words.
Big words. Woo, Jessica. But basically, she described it as ground up Tums. So I think it's a great product to use, and I feel really good using it around my fur, feathered, and human children.
Yeah, totally.
And you guys can get 10% off when you go to firstsaturdaylime.com and use code hashtag drink. Again, that's firstsaturdaylime.com. Use hashtag drink at checkout.
And you can use that code every time you buy lime because don't forget, you want a
Ooh.
lime every first Saturday.
I realized last episode we never really followed up on our garlic talk either. Like we had so much to say about cod.
Shoot.
Oh my gosh, that episode would have been hours long if we had tried to squeeze in like garlic follow up as well.
Oh yeah.
This is the perfect episode to drop some garlic follow up into. I did some research and I actually did order some garlic to plant in our garden beds this year. So I'm pretty excited about it. And we had a great garlic conversation inside our group. So I'm going to plug our group again. If you haven't joined our group, go ahead and do that. It's called We Drink and We Farm Things over on Facebook. But I did some research on the different types of garlic also because I realized I didn't know anything about garlic. And I'll link in the show notes to this article that I found. It's on almanac.com. And it just sort of like goes into the different types of garlic that there are, like what grows in different regions better. I'm always trying to learn new things. So I went to this almanac first and sort of did some reading. And then I did a Google search for a local garlic producer. And I managed to find one that's only like 40 minutes from my house. Well, no, it's not 40 minutes, like 40 miles, but it takes an hour because I live in the middle of the hills. But did you know that there are two different types of garlic?
No, I did not.
Yeah, there's like a soft neck garlic and a hard neck garlic. And so the hard neck garlic is usually what we buy from the grocery store. You know, it's got like the hard top on it.
Yeah.
And the soft neck is the one that you can braid. I was really bummed when I learned that because I was telling my husband about how we were going to grow garlic and I was going to have garlic braids hanging all over the house. Well, it turns out you have to buy soft neck garlic in order to do that. And soft neck garlic doesn't do very well in cold climates. So we have to plant hard neck garlic.
Wow.
And that was something else that was really nice about ordering all of my like garlic starts. I mean, they're not really starts, but you know, they're the cloves that you plant into the ground that grow into garlic.
Yeah.
I bought them locally because I knew that they would be varieties that were able to grow here where I live.
Oh, smart.
Yeah. So, and they ship. So if anybody lives anywhere in Ohio, they can use my resource and I'll put a link to them in the show notes also. Where did I buy it? It's Mad River garlic. And it was funny when I Googled Ohio garlic, Mad River came up and I was like, ooh, there's a Mad River brewing in Ohio. So this definitely has to be like local garlic. And sure enough.
That's funny. I thought you were going to make a vampire joke or something.
A vampire joke. Well, I mean, I definitely bought enough garlic to like ward all of the vampires away.
So if you have any locally, like vampires locally, you're good now. You're safe.
Right. Well, and you know, one of the fun things about growing my own garlic this year too is going to be garlic scapes in the spring. I saw those all over Instagram this year and I was like, what on earth are garlic scapes? I thought that they were something people were finding out like foraging for. And it turns out when the green tops come out of the garlic, you're supposed to trim a bunch of them back because it helps the bulbs develop better.
Oh yeah, I learned that on the episode when we watched it.
I did too, yeah. And you can use those scapes in cooking. So I'm looking forward to making garlic scape pesto. That's what I want to do with it.
Fancy.
Because I love pesto. And it goes well with homemade noodles. That's another meatless meal.
Oh, that sounds so good right now.
Doesn't it? I'm kind of hungry. I skipped lunch today. I don't know why I did that to myself.
Yeah, I had brunch, but I had a bagel with cream cheese and smoked salmon, which was delicious, but it wasn't a lot. And that was like 6 hours ago. So yeah.
Right.
Sam's we brought so much meat back with us. Like one of those white to go containers, like full, like to just packed with meat. So I'm going to make pulled pork nachos tonight.
Ooh, that sounds really good.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited for that. So we assigned some more homework last week. I feel like we've really been pushing the homework lately. But I saw this really cool documentary about minimalism on Netflix and I was like, Bev, you have to watch it. I think we can tie this into the podcast. Now, obviously, like minimalism has not a ton to do with farming, but I thought it was really a cool perspective just in general that could complement the homesteading lifestyle.
Well, it was like that one lady. I can't remember what her name is now. I didn't take any notes on this documentary. I just didn't feel like this documentary needed notes. Just because it's, you know, like it's a lifestyle change. So I thought it'd be more fun just to like chat about the different aspects that minimalism can have to do with the farming lifestyle. But she lived in a tiny house, like, you know, a little 300 square foot tiny house. And she had a farm as well.
Yeah, it looks like a big farm too.
It did. Like she had cows and like
Hell
pigs
yeah.
and all sorts of animals. So there are people who have tiny houses and run farms as well. It was funny though, while I was watching it, Jared came and sat with me to watch part of it. And he looked at me and he's like, "Why are you guys watching this for the podcast? Because like, isn't minimalism like antithesis to the farming life? In order to have chickens, you have to own those chickens, which is
Yeah,
things that you own."
right.
Yeah, it kind of, but I think the theme of or at least the theme that I took away from it, rather than like trying to only own the number of things that can fit on my back, it was just to be more conscious about not just food, but like the other purchases we make as well.
Yeah. No, I thought so too. Like as I was sitting there watching it, my eyes drifted over to this like tower of DVDs that we do not watch at all. So in my mind, I'm like, why don't I just sell those? Like we don't watch them. Like obviously we can keep a couple that we might watch again later. But so much of it, it's like streaming and stuff now. And I'd rather, put my money into Netflix than, just stare at these DVDs collecting dust where I could sell them and maybe pay for Netflix for like a year. Even if they went for like $1 a piece. So I think it's like kind of more of a decluttering mindset than an anti-buying things mindset, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily like, so there are still things I want to and need to buy, but just like with our food, I'm trying to make better decisions about what I spend my money on. So like only
Yeah.
buying things that like really truly make me happy. And without even meaning to, I sort of did this the week before we watched this documentary. I went and bought myself a really nice pair of boots, which is something I wouldn't have normally done. I would have seen them and I would have said, "Oh, those are really nice boots, but they're expensive. So I should really go and try to find something on sale." And then in my quest to fill that like happiness void that I had for those boots, I would hunt out something that was like really inexpensive and not really quite the same.
Right.
And then I still wouldn't be happy with them. So then I would have 4 of them
Yeah.
and I wouldn't like any of them and none of them would fit right. None of them would really be the look that I was going for. I don't know. Maybe boots isn't the right
No, I think that's a good
right
point though,
comparison,
because
but yeah.
those boots that you're looking at might be expensive for a reason. It might be because they're really good quality, like they're maybe American made. They're not made by somebody in a sweatshop somewhere. So
Yeah.
I think, and then like I've done that before too with boots actually, where I see some, I'm like, oh my God, those are beautiful. I would love them. And then I might order a different pair online that kind of look like it, but I put them on my feet and they're not comfortable, or you can tell they're cheap and they last like 2 months. And then I'll buy another pair. Whereas if I would have bought the more expensive pair, they probably would have lasted longer. And it would have been, saving me money in the long run, more than likely.
Because
Just-
you would have ended up with something that you were really happy
Yeah,
with.
just like, I know you have a lot of like the Duluth trading company clothing, and you've told me like
Yes.
it's such good quality that it'll last you a long time. And a lot of my mindset with shopping is just buy what's cheap because that's what you can afford right now, but it never lasts very long.
Well, and I'm sort of taking that approach this year too. A really cool like little secondhand shop sort of opened up in my town. So I did go through my closet. I started this before we started the minimalism documentary, but I was starting to kind of try to pare it down because like it's not just the boots that I did this with. I did this with like I don't know why clothes. I turned to clothes to like make me happy. I've never felt super comfortable as myself. So I thought that by like dressing a certain way, I could fit in with who I thought I was or who I thought I was supposed to be by dressing the part. And I always like failed on some level. So I never really ended up feeling comfortable in any of the stuff that I bought because I bought the cheapest, like most on sale thing I could find, which probably wasn't really the right size. So it never really fit right or was never really comfortable. So then I never really wore it. And then like before I know it, I have like a giant pile of clothes in my closet. And then it's stressing me out all the time because I have this thing that I know I need to take care of that I'm putting off because it's literally a mountain of clothes.
Right. Yeah.
And nobody wants to deal with that.
And I've been like dreading, I try to go through my closet almost seasonally, but I haven't done that probably. I think in the spring I did like a purge and I sold a bunch of stuff on eBay because I had a bunch of LuLaRoe stuff that I bought impulsively and never wore.
I do that with that stuff a lot too.
And like the money I got back was insane because I had some quote unquote unicorn leggings and they went like one pair of leggings I got like $70 for, which is crazy.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So there's so much money just sitting in your house in your closet for stuff you don't use. And like, even like I said, with those DVDs, if I sold them for $1 a piece, that could be a couple $100s. Same with books or, you know, stuff that you might not use. Like, obviously, if books make you happy or if DVDs make you happy, keep them. That's not the point. It's just like, you know, identifying the areas where you can scale back. Like, I don't think it would make me happy to be able to put all my things into a backpack and, you know, that's all I have. I don't think that would make me happy. But the decluttering is kind of nice and just not spending money on things that you don't actually need. I don't think the message of the documentary was stop consuming. I think it was just to be like a conscious consumer and to be aware of how you're spending your money and why you're spending your money.
Well, it's kind of funny too. Jared was like, I want to see somebody that has kids that does this. Do any of these people have kids?
That's
like,
what I
who
said
lives
too.
in these 300 square foot houses and has kids? And then suddenly somebody did come on that had kids. He was clutter free with kids, I think was what like his blog or book or whatever it was that he wrote. And you would not believe it. He lived in one of those like Phoenix McMansions that like Jared and I were like trying really hard not to end up living in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like one of those McMansion isn't necessarily the right word. It's just, you know, a planned community in a neighborhood where all the houses look the same.
Yeah.
That was just not something that would make us happy. There's lots of people that lifestyle makes them happy, and there's nothing wrong with that. One is not better than the other. But it made me laugh that like the guy that was the clutter free the clutter free with kids was in the area of Arizona that we left.
And it's funny that you mentioned that too, because like around the corner, a couple miles away, a new subdivision was put in where we live in our town. And my father-in-law is like, I don't understand why you wouldn't just buy one of those. And it's because they're on top of each other. Like, no, that's not what I'm going for here. Like, yes, we have a lot of land. Yes, we need to mow the lawn. Yes, it's my mother-in-law.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, my mother-in-law
it costs money
last
to
night,
maintain.
She was like, oh, you know, those animals, they've got you locked in. And she said it like it was a bad thing. And it's just that they don't understand that this was the goal or that this lifestyle is what we like. And we like having the responsibility of owning these animals and eventually being able to use them to make a little money on the side or just stuff for ourselves. So it's just a mindset thing that even for this minimalism stuff, like it's just a mindset shift and thinking of things in a different way.
Well, you know, the whole reason why they even pursued like that minimalist lifestyle to begin with was because they were pursuing happiness.
Yeah.
And we kind of touched on that last week when we talked about the Gretchen Rubin book, The Happiness Project. There's another book too that I'll recommend if minimalism or like, you know, just decluttering in general is something that you're thinking that would make you happy as well. It's the Maria Kondo method, and it's called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. And my husband listened to this book, and I'm telling you, he like purged everything that he was allowed to purge.
Oh, wow.
On his own.
Good for him.
Yeah, he did a really great job. He's much better at that stuff than I am. I listened to the book and I walked into my closet, and then I think I immediately just like crumbled into tears or something because I just like couldn't get over the mental hurdle of, you know, getting into this. But, you know, part of it too is like, my closet was something that I was trying to use as a way to identify myself, and I failed miserably at it. It's probably not a great example, I guess. But it's true that having less things to take care of in general does like reduce the amount of stress that I have.
But I think that's also a good example of sometimes it just takes people a little longer to get where they need to get mindset wise. Like, just because you listen to a book doesn't mean it's going to immediately change your life. Like, sometimes it takes a little while to implement. And I know I've said it before where, like, I don't like being told what to do, but I'm also a rule follower, which is very confusing.
You're like a rebel rule follower.
Yeah. So sometimes that stuff takes a little longer to sink in or to get over. So, you know, it doesn't mean that you need to go in and purge your closet right away. It could even just be like taking one thing out a week and like putting it into a donation pile.
Well, I did get 4 bags out and dropped off at our local secondhand store, and I just gave them to her and I was like, here, I'll just let you go through them so you can tell me if I'm on the right track of stuff that you want to have in your store. If I'm on track, let me know and I'll continue to clean my closet out. And she sent me a text and she's like, yeah, I love all of this stuff. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm like, all right, I will continue to clean out my closet because maybe I can get a little something back for it also. Like I prefer to donate stuff. Usually we donate a ton of clothes and stuff out of here, like for the kids and whatnot. But some of the stuff that I've bought was kind of expensive and still like almost brand new, which is probably better to donate as well. But I also sort of feel like I need to get a little something back.
Right.
If I can out of it, just because I can use that towards like one of my farming goals around here.
Right.
I'm always working like extra jobs because I love having side gigs because it keeps my brain busy. And extra money when you live on a farm is always nice.
Exactly. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. And there's stores out, like online things even, that you can give your clothes to and they'll give you a little bit of money and they turn around and, you know, sell it for even more or whatever. But, and there's stores
I've used
like that
ThredUp,
too. Yeah.
And I did Poshmark also.
Okay.
Poshmark was kind of a pain because you had to take the pictures yourself and like ship it. And I'm telling you, I sold over $1,000 in stuff on Poshmark like in the last year. Yeah, that's how many clothes like I was buying, and then realizing, oh wait, these don't really fit me, or these don't fit my lifestyle, or these don't. Yeah, it's insane.
But good for you for like, you know, turning it around and purging it.
Right. Well, and that's how I bought the goats. All of my
so cool.
when we were getting ready to move, I did a semi-closet purge and I stuck it all up on Poshmark. That money that I made from it, I stuck it in what I called my homestead fund. And then when we got around to buying the goats, I took the money out of that savings account and bought the goats with them.
That's cool. Yeah. So if anybody out there needs money for more animals, that's a good place to start.
Your closet and Poshmark.
Yeah. No, my closet. We were stuck in this really horrible like satellite internet that I hated, and it was awful, and we would blow through like the cap in a couple of days for the whole month, but it was like $300 or $400 to cancel it. So, and I was just like, you know what, if I just cancel it, like that is still cheaper than paying $80 a month for like a year and a half more for something that I wasn't really even using. So I sold a bunch of shit out of my closet to do that. So sometimes you just got to get a little crafty and look around your house and say, what do I actually not need?
Right.
That could, you know, I can get rid of and improve my life. So it's really nice not having that bill anymore. And we don't have to worry about dealing with shitty internet anymore. So it was a win-win.
We spent the whole day cleaning today because, you know, it's Sunday and it's a rainy day. So it just felt like a good time to do something like that. And I was walking around my house, like changing out. We have all these Scentsy warmers everywhere. And I'm really terrible about, you know, like dumping the scents and putting new ones in. So they've been on and you couldn't smell anything. So I was like, well, I guess I'll walk around and change all these Scentsy things. And I was like, I'm like, think of how sad it is for all those guys that carry all of their stuff on their back not having Scentsy warmers. And I was like, wait, think about how much time they save not having to change out their damn Scentsy warmers because everything that they own is on their back.
But they can be so cute and seasonal and stuff.
They are really cute. I just finally put my reindeer one away. That's how great I am at changing things for the seasons. I told my husband that. I was like, I took down the reindeer Scentsy warmer. He was like, oh, just in time.
Yeah, you're going to be able to bring it back out in about 2.5 months. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, do we have anything else about minimalism we wanted to chat about?
I don't think so.
All right.
I think you're going to throw up some links to that book you mentioned, and then the book that the two guys in the documentary wrote called All That Remains.
Yeah, we got that as an Audible book. I haven't listened to it yet. My husband probably started it today because he listens to books while he's doing chores around here. But he seemed to be pretty excited about it. So
yeah, let me know how that is, because I might get that one, because some of the excerpts that they read sounded really good.
They really did. Yeah, it was definitely like an interesting, like it really did change my perspective on whether or not I really need to like buy something. Oh yeah, before I forget, while I was changing out the Scentsy warmers too, I started thinking of all the things that I like collect or like keep on hand. I'm not a hoarder by any means, but like I love I really like my Scentsy warmers. Well, I like those little wax things, you know, that go in them. I don't buy them from Scentsy because I don't like the way that those ones smell. They like smell too perfumey for me. But there are like local people that make them, you know, like out of soy and essential oils and stuff. So that's usually what I buy. I have like a whole like little tiny chest thing full of those. What on earth am I saving those for? A special occasion? Use the damn Scentsy waxes.
I have like a whole drawer of them too, because when I went through a little Scentsy like binge, I just went on eBay and got a shit ton of them for super cheap, and I still have drawerfuls of them because, like you, I'll turn them on and they don't smell like anything, and I'm just lazy, and I usually make a mess when I empty them. So yeah, I noticed my husband changed one of them today. So
now your house smells all cozy.
Yeah, I don't really like the one that he put in though. I'm not a fan.
What smell did he put in?
I'm not sure, but it's kind of perfumey, and I'm kind of over it. Some of them are better than others, but oh well. At least he changed it. That was nice of him.
So watching the documentary reminded me, like, I need to use the things that I buy and just enjoy them and not save them. And I need to only buy things that really, truly bring me joy. That was my takeaway.
I think that's a good takeaway to have. And I think even awesome. Like watching that I didn't feel like they were pushy about minimalizing anything, because they come out and say, if something makes you happy, you can keep it. So, which
is definitely like a less threatening like approach to something like that.
It felt less extreme. Like one of the ladies on there, she was a little aggressive for me. She was like professor or something. She's like, well, because of this, there's this. And if you were more socially conscious about where you bought your clothes, there wouldn't be sweatshops and blah, blah, blah. Like she was very black and white about it. And I was like, lady, like it's not that simple. Like there are a reason for the way things are. And while it's not always right, it's not as simple as like buy less shit. So right, yeah. I didn't really like her, but the two main guys, I thought they were pretty cool and reasonable. But they were huggers.
That's right. Yeah. I knew we were going to have to talk about that.
Yeah, they were huggers. So, but they were kind of cute. So maybe I would have been okay hugging them. I don't know.
Maybe after a beer, I would have hugged them.
Yeah, I have no shame. If they're attractive, that might be a little more okay. And after a beer. Hopefully they don't smell. They don't have Scentsy warmers all over the house. So,
right. Yeah.
We don't know how they smell.
Well, I do have a funny story to share. I mean, It's kind of a funny story. I don't know. I'll tell it. Maybe you can tell me whether it's funny or not.
Okay.
But so I live in a really small town. There's like 800 people that live here. There's not there's not a lot of space. There's not very many blocks like when you go into town. Well, we're driving by on the main highway through what's known as Main Street. Mm-hmm. And we're driving by this driveway, and my husband goes, "Oh, look, there's the turkeys of Bainbridge." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "The turkeys of Bainbridge. You haven't seen them?" And I'm like, "What on earth are the turkeys of Bainbridge?" And I look, and sure enough, there's these 3 American heritage, like red turkeys, just like waddling down the side of the highway. And I'm like, "What on earth is this?" And he's like, "Well, apparently someone in town has turkeys and is just letting them free range the town of Bainbridge. And no one will claim them. And they just run free and do whatever they want." And sure enough, like we have like this little Bainbridge Connections like page. There are pictures of them and people complaining of them like roosting on their cars, eating all of the things out of their front yards, just like generally running around causing a ruckus. And they're big too. Like they're getting close to like full size. Well, we go into our little diner and have breakfast. That's what my husband and my dates are. Their breakfasts after we've dropped the kids off at school because we don't have to pay a
Aw.
babysitter to go out to breakfast in the morning. And we both work from home. So we're sitting there at breakfast and somebody is like, "Oh, hey, did you hear that the turkeys at Bainbridge are gone?" And we're like, "What? The turkeys are gone?" Yeah, no one would claim them. So we're thinking that somebody just like came up and got them. And I was like, dang it, I totally would have done that. Because I could use some turkeys around here.
Aw.
But the turkeys at Bainbridge are gone. I said maybe the owner just finally got smart and decided to keep them in their backyard,
Maybe.
you know, because they were afraid of that. But yeah, I mean, I can't believe that they were just like wandering around. But then when I was at the Bainbridge Connections website, there are chickens running around all over Bainbridge also.
Oh
like
my
some people
God.
free range their chickens. Like my doctor's office took a picture of a chicken under the bench, like in front of their little like storefront. It was like, hey, somebody come get this chicken. There's a chicken just like hanging out. Because like our main street is Highway 50. So it's, you know, like
Oh.
semis and like, you know, everybody like driving by. The speed limit's only 25 in my town, but still
But
like
still,
it's
yeah.
super weird that there's like turkeys and chickens just like hanging out on the side of the
They're
road.
like the real turkeys of Bainbridge. Like it could be a reality TV show.
Oh,
Like
it
the Real
totally could have
Housewives
been.
series. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I'll see if there's enough of those funny posts and try to compile them into some sort of like sensical like
Oh,
storyline for them
There you go. Yeah. In all your free time, right?
in all my free time, right? I've already decided that the next thing that I have to make and put up on the Patreon is going to be the song of likes, because I swear I cut 1,500 likes out of the last episode.
Oh, so instead of now it's
Like this and like that and like this and
and then you can just throw in a few woos, you know, to spice it up a little bit.
there we go.
Like woo, like woo. Oh boy.
Well, if anyone else has a funny story that they'd like to send us, feel free to email it to drinkandfarm@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And we'll read it on the podcast.
Yeah, we keep saying that and nobody's following through. So you don't really have much competition if you decide, you know, to do that. And we'll probably read it next week. We know everybody's busy and it's a crazy time of year and summer's crazy and now everybody's getting back into their routines. So, yeah, we understand.
That's true. I'm finally getting back into my routine with my book club. We're starting a new book tomorrow, although it'll be 5 days ago, like when you actually hear this podcast. But that's all right. You can still join us and you won't be too late. We're doing a fermenting book. So I'll put a link in the show notes to my book club if anybody wants to come and join us. You know, fermenting for gut health.
Yeah, I was thinking fermenting booze.
Oh, no, I did want to ferment some apple cider this year and, you know, make like, what is that even called? It's just fermented apple cider. Hard cider.
Yeah, like hard
Yeah,
cider.
hard cider.
Yeah.
That's what it is. But I haven't even gone out to see if my apples are ripe. I'm sure that they are, and the birds are probably eating them all.
Yeah, maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. I'm just like behind on all the things this year.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
You can't boil the ocean. So
That's right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
yeah. This was We Drink and We Farm Things. And you can find us over on Instagram at Drink and Farm. You can use our hashtag Drink and Farm. As long as you're doing that responsibly, you'll have the chance to be featured. We do features on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There are no real rules other than obviously be safe. I might pull one from a couple months ago or do one from the same week. It's just, you know, how I'm feeling that day when I look through the hashtag. So feel free to use that. And like we've repeated a billion times, go join our Facebook group, We Drink and We Farm Things, because we have a lot of fun in there.
We sure do. We'll drink.
Farm
And
and give
give zero
zero clucks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.